It's the Intergalactic Soul, the Honorable Brother, the Revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Powerbombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
Hey everybody, welcome to Powerbombshells episode 107. I am Mel, and that is not Sam. Sam is on assignment in Greensboro, South Carolina.
No, North Carolina.
Oh, I'm sorry, North Carolina. Sorry, I thought it was in South Carolina. I suck. Anyway, it's our favorite, one of our favorite honorary bras and the co-host of the Dynamite Show, Mr. Jeff Hawkins. How the hell are you?
Good morning. I wore a, as Brad said, a knit hate. in solidarity. Yeah. I'm good. I am. It's weird. I woke up this morning unexpectedly jazzed for this show.
Oh.
And yeah,
well, thank God, because I would have felt horrible if you're like, oh my God, I have to do this with Mel.
No, not just this show, but I also meant the Greensboro show as well. It's one of those things where I'm excited for Sting. I really am, and that's almost a first in my career.
It's funny. I brought you on. I wanted to have you on because I know that you have like a good history of that, like of the Sting, and I was like, I think it'll be fun to have a conversation about this stuff with Jeff because he has like such a broad understanding. I was saying, like, even just reading this week's Observer, like Oli's bio and the stuff that we brought up in our Discord about like him being like the worst bucker ever, but like booking the Black Scorpion. And I was like, that's so weird with this being like Sting's retirement week and all of these things kind of having like all these weird threads together. So
they would do those types of things with Sting, though, because I wasn't the only. I'm trying to remember if and somebody in the chat can remind me because I was trying to think about this on the fly and then I never bothered to look it up. Was the Phantom of WCW for Luger or for Sting when they brought Rude back for under like a mask or whatever?
As shoot, I just read about this. Like I've been doing a ton of reading because I found like books in my local library, and I read the Ravishing Rick Rude one, and now I can't remember.
Yeah.
Of course, here it is. Here we go. So Brad says it's still so wild to me that Sting debuted when I was 4, and he was retiring with Kathy as 12, and we're enjoying the final run together. And Kathy's, of course, Brad's daughter, which is amazing. So
yeah, most of my enjoyment of Sting has come in this latter run in AEW. Agreed. To be honest with you, even though I was there for his peak, I was always a heel guy, so I was rooting for the guys who were trying to kill Sting at the time in the ring. So it's fun to be on the same team on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, it
was a feud with Sting. Thank you, Dazza.
Oh, where is it? It was a feud with Sting. So Daza, thank you, of course. See, this is why I love this group. Hello, Eddie. Thank you for joining us today. And I wanted to get back to me. Daza, I know it's not you, Daza. I know. Daza always asks if it's him when it's a special guest. One of these days, Daza,
he is a special guest.
He is a special guest. He's just not the one on this particular podcast. So it's great.
Ole Anderson,
Brad, I know. Only 1 minute late. I know. It's amazing. I had to throw that out there because I was joking with Jeff off air about the fact that
when he said Darius always on time, I was wondering if that was a bit.
Well, I don't think he did it on purpose because he was just he was being lovely and cutting us a promo because he's an amazing person and amazing talent, but it's hilarious to me because I literally shake my head in our little thing on the way in every single time. Like, we're not on time every time. We're never on time. We're women. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, stereotypes. I'm starting early.
I'm glad you told that joke because I'd get.
I have to be. I make those jokes for Sam's benefit so that I just because I love to hang a lantern on things. Nikki is late. I think she's with Sam, if I had to guess. She's her sister, and they stayed in the hotel. Eventually, stayed in the hotel. Apparently, Like Will Ospreay having issues with Delta, Sam and Nikki had issues with their early check-in being way too late. So.
Is Ospreay having issues with Delta today or no?
Not today, but
Oh,
when he
okay.
was flying in on Wednesday, they
Oh,
lost
that's
his
right.
luggage.
Yeah.
And I remember someone saying, I wonder if he'll take a shot at them. And of course they did, which I found funny. So let's see. Dallas says Heyman brought in Rude to destroy Sting as revenge for kicking him off commentary.
That's right. Yeah.
Of course he did. That seems par for the course on this one.
Yeah, just to go back to what you were intimating earlier, Ole Anderson's such a weird because he has his own hypocrisies. And it's so weird to look at, like, that you're right, that exact all that latter stage WCW booking he was doing, before Bischoff came in. It's so against type for what he did. It was so bad at times too. What he was doing in like the late 70s in North Carolina and stuff. It's just who the Black Scorpion angle is just like I was in my teens when that came out, and it's like everybody I talked to, because I was a Crockett kid, and we didn't have a lot of WWF. Everybody there was like certain that was going to be the Ultimate Warrior. Oh, it's one of Sting's old tag team partners. It either has to be Eddie Gilbert or the Ultimate Warrior.
That would just, I can't even imagine. Like, I wasn't into it at the time, so I hadn't hit any, like, I didn't know as much. I didn't learn about Sting until I was in college, really, because that was when the person who got me into wrestling was a WWE person, WWF at the time. But when I went to college, I had the kids on my floor that had the 2 TVs going with Monday Night, Raw and Nitro, or Raw and, no, I got it right. Monday Nitro, yeah. Yep. Thursday was Thunder. But yes, on Monday nights, we were in the room with the N64 and the Monday Night Wars and the Power Raids and the whole thing. Like, I mean, if we had had a thing of Stacker 2, we would have been like the classic stereotypical kids.
Although Al Perez being the first guy to be revealed as the Black Scorpion, kind of in my wheelhouse. I really liked Al Perez and Larry Zbyszko being
like rando who hasn't been around for years.
I knew him from World Class, though. That was, because
I had not there because you lived in that region. Like,
well, no, but I had just
close enough to get the like feeds.
No, I had just gotten cable at that time, so all of the ESPN, like ESPN, was like a godsend for a wrestling fan like me. And this actually will go into how I got into Sting, because not ESPN but cable, because ESPN was running World Class and then running AWA. It would always have like wrestling at like 3:00 in the afternoon when I was a teen. So it was always kind of cool. It's like, oh, okay, that's Al Perez. But for Sting, it was weird because I was in middle school and we had just moved to this house and got cable. And I didn't have friends in middle school all that much.
Because you were a new kid in town?
No.
Okay, because you were just you.
Because I was the smartest kid in the school.
Oh, that sucks. That's the worst.
And I'm in PE class, which is, there's no separation of smart kids and other kids in gym class in that time. It's like that is where you are. You have to be a man of the people, kind of. And we're doing this volleyball thing. And was it middle school or high school? God. Might have actually been high school, but we're playing volleyball and we're doing this game where it's like, and it's an elimination thing where it's like 5-on-5. I go, teams of 5 strive to survive. And somebody looked at me and goes, isn't that the catchphrase of the Survivor Series? I went, yeah. He goes, you're a wrestling fan? I go, yeah. It's like, oh, cool. I'm a wrestling fan too. I love, NWA, blah, 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 blah. But I've been watching this stuff called UWF. And I went, there's more wrestling. I can watch this. I can watch more wrestling. Please tell me about this. And at the time we had a channel called Home Team Sports, which was the cable outlet for the Baltimore Orioles and the Washington Capitals out of DC up there. And he told me that they play UWF at, I think it was 4:00 on Mondays. And that was at the time where sometimes you get the show and sometimes you didn't. If there was an Oriole game or if there was,
or whatever
they want to play, basic cable.
We're going to break in for the state of the budgetary situation in your county here. And some like random like downtown incident where a lady crashed into something.
But this was post Blade Runners, but before the merger of NWA or of Crockett and UWF. So it was Hot Stuff and Hyatt International, which was Eddie Gilbert, and then his goons were Sting and Rick Steiner as a heel tag team.
Nice.
And they came out to fight for your right to party by the
on.
Beastie Boys, which was awesome.
Is amazing. I gotta look this up.
If you can find it, because of course,
I know.
Rights fees won't be what they were. But yeah, they were a heel team. They were a team with Hollywood John Tatum and Missy Hyatt and Jack Victory and Gary Young and Terry Taylor was a part of that crew. It was a nice big crew of dudes. And then of course Tatum and Victory left and left, the rest of them there. But yeah, no, it was Eddie Gilbert, Sting, managing Sting and Rick Steiner. And then sometimes Eddie Gilbert and Sting would team up. And then about 6 months later is when Crockett came in, and it started to be, the Wrestling News Network, and it started to get joined, and you'd have a bunch more people from Crockett territory being on UWF. But you always kind of knew they had started the Sting turn, so to speak, in UWF against Gilbert. And then once he got to 605, he was full-fledged heel, but full-fledged babyface, but he was kind of in waiting. Because, of course, Dusty and Barry were there at the time, and they were the top two baby faces. Actually, I think Magnum was still around right at the tail end. Don't quote me on that, though. They were looking for new Magnum TA, and that's what Sting ended up being for the most part, in terms of that young up and coming baby face we can build the promotion around. They thought it was going to be Luger, and then Luger. And you always connect Sting and Luger anyways, because they were a pretty decent tag team. One of the most interesting things they did was during that early Nitro era, I think, or was it? No, it was latter stage WCW, where Luger was a heel, but Sting was still his friend.
We're pals, but I don't really want to hang out anymore.
That kind of thing.
Our time together has passed. It's time for us to go our separate ways.
No, but
we've outgrown each other.
No, getting to see Sting grow into a baby face. What was fascinating, because I had always saw him as a heel in the UWF, and they came in, and you're like, okay, cool. They're gonna do this with him. He's gonna be their Hogan, is what I always thought was. Okay, Sting is their Hogan, and we'll see if the Horsemen, what the Horsemen do to him, and all those other things. But no, and then he was of course. Once the Horseman reign ended, and you had the lean times, as we like to say, all through that early, late 80s, early 90s WCW, it was just, Sting was the guy, but, as Uncle Dave would always say, well, he wasn't a draw. And then you look at the numbers, it's like, and he's drawing as much as modern day AEW these days. It's like, oh yeah, well, in comparison, not a draw, but yeah.
Yeah, but you're talking like comparing it to previous decades where they were so hot, and it's just not fair. You can't compare 60s and 70s wrestling, even though the 80s had that hot period. It's just not fair to try. And that was exactly Ole's problem. Like, he was still living in the past the whole time.
Oh, well,
when you're like, Ricky Steamboat is not very talented, it's like, what are you talking about?
Well, that was the 70s. That was when, that was the late 70s.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, he couldn't even recognize it. Like, there's other guys where Dave has talked about where they were like, you got to watch this person, where he's like, this guy will never make it anywhere and he'll never be drawn. There's like a weird analog to it. Like, you can make the analogy to today, where they've been like, this is a group of people that have been accused of killing the business, have like brought this guy all the way back around to a point where he can leave the business for good and all on his own terms. But it was such a weird, long, like very wrestling type road that got him here.
In terms of Sting, most of my arguments have been with modern fans, to be honest with you, because it's like when Dave would say, oh, Sting's not a Hall of Famer, and then like my old co-host, who was the Raw recapper for F4W for a while, Rob McCarron, he'd always go, Randy Orton and Edge are better candidates for the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame than Sting. And that used to just kind of blow my mind a little. I was like, Yeah, but they weren't ever the draw of WWE to me, because it was always more of WWE was the draw type of a thing. And so you'd always argue, who had more of an impression on wrestling. Randy Orton, who I always thought as a number 3 or 4 guy in WWE always, or Sting, who was a number 1 guy in WCW for a long time.
For a long time. One of the first people I paid attention to when I got into it. I mean, he was like one of the first people where I went, oh, who is this cool guy? Like, let's catch up a little bit here with some comments here, because Dazamita and Al Perez, going back to Al Perez, I know Al Perez from being upper tier jobber in WWF just before the Black Scorpion.
Yeah, that was that was in between when he was in NWA with Zbyszko and Gary Hart managing them. And then he went to WWE, and then I just remember primetime wrestling on Mondays. There'd always be like an Al Perez versus Tim Horner match where it's just like 15 minutes of boredom. That's all it was. Yeah, and then Perez would like be in like a tag team with some other guy. He was like the Pez Watley of WWF for a very short time. Yeah.
And then Brad here says, being from New York, I was more of a WWF kid, but we got TBS, so I'd see WCW from time to time. I thought Sting was the coolest with the makeup and spiked blonde hair. Yes.
And the rat tail.
And that's it. I went to school I went to school in Northern Virginia. So it was like all those kids that were coming from the surrounding area that were going to school there had all grown up around it. So it was like a natural thing that Monday Night Wars would be going on somewhere. And I watched WWF in like high school and going into college with the person who introduced me to this as anything else. I mean, if you were a kid in the 80s, there was no avoiding wrestling being on. If you watched Saturday morning cartoons or afternoon television or just
at noon on Saturdays, wrestling. Yeah.
It would make its way into it was everywhere. It was on the magazine covers. It was, and then I started watching it when like My Undertaker, like Paul Bearer started doing stuff like that. And I would like watch at my grandma's house when I got to be in the room with the TV. And then my mom would be like, I don't want you watching that. That stuff's fake. And it's like, okay. Well, now literally every time I get up in front of a TV where it's like, I got to watch this.
I remember watching the debut of The Undertaker and going, oh, that's Mean Mark Callis. Look what they did to him. He was so awesome in WCW.
See, I was like way in the Northeast and didn't know. I played sports I was a soccer player and I played competitively. So there wasn't a lot of extra time for anything.
See, on Saturdays, I didn't get to watch cartoons because my mom was throwing me in stuff like Saturday morning bowling leagues, and stuff
you didn't want to do on Saturday.
I didn't mind it. It was just, and sports and stuff. And then you get home at noon, and that's when wrestling was on.
There you go.
And so it's like, okay, you click on wrestling. Okay, here's NWA, whatever, blah 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 blah. That kind of a thing. So like everybody's like, a lot of my friends like, who are like just a little bit younger would talk about like Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. I go, I have no idea what that is. Other than I am aware of the cartoon that happened. I
saw that once. And I know that I got like with a cereal, I got one of the comic books that they did during that run of like doing comic books that were
I just remember that the dad from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I think, did the voice of the Junkyard Dog on that show. Yeah.
I had friends do a live reading. They were a comic book show a while back. They did a live reading of when WWF did a crossover with the Philadelphia Eagles back in the mid to late 80s. And they did a live reading of the comic book. And it was so fun. It was like they were everywhere. Like you couldn't get away from it even if you wanted to. So it was in my consciousness. But I didn't start watching until the Attitude Era.
Right.
Like everyone else that got in on that.
So you're better versed to talk about Sting in the Crow era.
The Crow era, yes. And now I'm in the Detroit area, so it's even funnier.
Because it's weird because all like when people ask me what do you think Sting's greatest feuds were, all of mine are Surfer Sting era feuds. Yeah. Like my top 4 are like I always go Muta, Vader, Flair, and Rude. In that order, in terms of that, I don't even think about the Crow era Sting or any matches therein or anything from Because the Monday Night Wars, I was already, in my 20s, and I was, hanging out in nightclubs every night and stuff.
Right. It was on its way to, it wasn't quite ending. It was like on its way to getting into that early 2000 time when it started to transition. But I mean, it was mostly Crow Sting that I saw, and him doing the Rafters thing popped me hard. As a matter of fact, when we were watching that Dynamite, I was like, is he going to come down from the rafters? Like, oh my God.
Yeah, I had an inkling he would too, but
I thought they were going to wait for the pay-per-view, but
but at that point, I'm like, they've already beaten on Darby like for about 10 minutes now. Why isn't he?
Yeah, right. Maybe you should have come down sooner. It takes a long time to rappel from a ceiling, all right? All right, let's see here. What do we have? I've got Colin says hi. Hey, Colin, thanks for joining us. Let's see. Daza says, just a quick look, and there are lots of UWF matches on YouTube. I know that there are a few anyway, because I have a friend who pointed me to UWF a few years back, and I enjoy it. I like finding the old wrestling on here. I even found a few. I mean, I don't know a lot of the acts, but I found a lot of
Jim Ross is fantastic on those latter day UWF shows.
Those are like his best years, like
that and early JCP when he was combined. Like I've always said my favorite team was that Ross Shivani team on Clash 1 when they were calling together like it was a sport. It was awesome. I loved it.
So that had the hooky bit where Luger would be high-fiving fans on the way to the ring until Sting turned his back, and then he'd stop.
When I was talking about the Sting Luger team where Luger was
stop going back to that, and let's see. Lance told a story. Brad says Lance told a story about why Sting never left WCW for WWF on his show with Alvarez the other day. I'm surprised it wasn't a bigger story. I don't know if I caught that or not. So what did he say? He said Sting told him WWF would never contact him and say how signing them would hurt WCW, but never told him it would help WWF or wrestling as a whole. I'm not sure I'm understanding. Yeah.
Oh, he's basically saying that they'd sign Sting to hurt WCW versus
they do the typical thing. So the thing that they tend to do in their like poachy years, which was everyone was hiring everybody to get everybody back. The choreograph could never get into because the matches were never as good, but also it felt tacky, him adopting the image of a comic/film character. That's from Daza. I understand that. In my mind, I feel like that's wrestling though. Like they've been ripping off comic book characters and popular TV characters since ever, kind of.
Well, into that WCW WWF thing with Sting, my co-host on my other show, brought up a really good point, and that is, we were talking about how the usage of Sting when he did that one WrestleMania was just as another spike the football for Vince about the Monday Night Wars. Yeah. But here he is in his final match, and he's facing two Vince McMahons. In some essence, because that's what the Bucks are kind of trying to play here is version and actually it's two different versions of Vince McMahon. If you want to go heavy into the meta, but and having that symbolism would be something right there. But Sting would have fit in WWF, much like there are a couple other guys, that you think about. Okay, what would have happened if they had gone like Magnum? May have done. Nikita Koloff was originally going to be part of Demolition, which blows my mind in so many ways. But you think about it, go, he might have fit there. But Sting was always the one last guy that never jumped. And if you remember, like, were you on the internet at the time when there was the rumor of Sting coming in for WrestleMania?
Yes.
And the fan art of a Sting Undertaker match?
Yes.
Those things were some of the most awesome things I had seen from wrestling fandom. And then they just go in, they do a basic, it's a celebration of the NWO and DX. And I just went,
that's God. Right. I remember that. Yes. I still remember that. It was such a weird time with the crossover and the like leading into all the invasions and things getting bought up, and yeah, it was weird. It was a weird end, and it.
Yeah.
I don't blame Sting. I mean, it is, but like you were saying with the Nicholas and Matthew thing, is they are so sort of going back to their roots right now by doing that heel thing where they embrace the thing, but also it is really thoughtful of them. Like I just realized that them kind of playing the boss to him, and I didn't think about it that hard, but now I'm realizing that I might be even more right about them being intentional about what they're doing, because this is how when they got big, when they used to like start to get big, like I've been reading their book. It was leaning into the like stereotypes people would make up about them.
Oh yeah.
They would someone would be like, oh, they're spot monkeys. So they'd go out and like make spot monkey stuff and start doing spot monkey things, or they're this or they're that, or they're killing the business. So they'd go in and like go kill the business. I mean, that's why they named the book that. So when they started doing this, I was like, they're going back to their roots, but I didn't really quite put my finger on why. And now that you just said that, I went, wow, these guys are too good. Talk about some deep dive wrestling nerds.
No, I think about like, because at their very, very peak, I was still going to PWG shows at the time. And I still recall they did a match. It was them against, I want to say it was against Kevin Owens and Roddy Strong, but I might be wrong about that one. Or Kevin Steen and I hate to use his slave name.
So Jesus.
Yeah. And where they're doing a match where all they did was the suck it, crotch chop, and super kicks.
Yeah.
For like the first 10 minutes. And you're just like, what are they doing? And then you realize, oh, this is their meta commentary on this is all they do is sports entertainment stuff, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay. And it killed in that crowd. If I ever saw that on TV, I'd be railing against it like a machine. But
oh yeah, it would be terrible for television, but for the indies, I mean, having read about a bunch of like the PWG stuff, I'm like a little bummed. That's not something that I was like anywhere near. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, there's so much stuff that they took from the indies that they've been able to translate to TV without it being too hardcore indie. Although, I mean, I guess lately it's been a little sports entertaining, but that's beside the point, really.
So someone who's later to the party than I am, what's your favorite Sting feud? Or opponent? Who's your favorite Sting opponent? Let's put it that way.
Back when I was like okay with being Flair, that was one of the ones I saw the most of. But
okay,
I mean,
that's not a bad choice.
Well, it's the one I saw the most of. I mean, it was the one that made the most sense to me, where they were actually feuding, and I was like, okay, I can get into this, and I understand, like, because I was so young to wrestling, like really paying attention to it, that it was like the charisma and the costume and the whole thing like got over with me. And so it was I'm a very basic, like, oh, this is cool, because it was kind of my first one.
You don't need to apologize for it. It's awesome, because now you're the third different answer in my group of friends, because my friend Novembrino, who co-hosts Shake Them Rose, he's a big Vader Sting guy.
Oh, I love Vader too, but
loves that feud because he loves Sting working from underneath. He loves Vader just being a brute and doing all those things. And for me,
I don't know much about that one, so
it's worth going into.
I definitely will, because I have a friend who's like the biggest Vader fan in the world. So over the years, I've checked in on many Vader things.
And for
it's
me,
always Vader time is basically my point.
And for me, I love the Muta matches, because I just think those things flow so well. And it's two guys who are athletic and doing stuff and just go. And it was never for the world championship. It was always like for the US title or whatever. It was always underneath, or it'd be in tag matches or whatever. But whenever Sting and Muta, when Muta was peak Muta, it was just awesome to watch, kind of a thing. Like it's so weird to explain the Muta phenomenon to people who don't know.
Yeah.
Back in the day, where it's like, oh, here comes a ninja coming into this Southern wrestling company who's just going to blow all your effing minds. And you're like, oh my God. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, no, it's cool. And there's even some people. And then as soon as we started talking about that, everybody goes, Nove goes, you know what? I really like the Rude matches too. And I go, you never really think about Sting Rude because it was only for like a year and a half there, but they had some bangers too. So it's like, there are great things. I thought though, but because Flair also goes into the Monday Night War territory and stuff, so that makes perfect sense to me.
Well, and my first shows that I was seeing live were in that time frame where like Ric Flair had like just essentially jumped over back to WWE, WWF. So, I mean, I came in at a weird period. Like I went to WrestleMania 19 in Seattle because that's where I was living at the time.
Oh,
and
nice.
That was in 04, I think. And so that was my first one. So I like Stone Cold versus the Boss in a bloody self-mutilation match.
That was Flair Undertaker, right?
There was a Flair Undertaker match in that one. Yep. And there was
Arn Anderson came out and got a quick pop and then
correct. Yes. It was a lot of fun. It was a really weirdly there were so many like major matches. It was one of the times that was the last time that The Rock and Stone Cold wrestled. So, one of the like 3 or 4 times. But yeah, so I mean I caught him like at the tail end, but I've like this run so much that it's just been like really fun to
this thing has been so much fun in AEW with him.
Great.
It's blown my mind how and the only modern comparison I have is like when Terry Funk went to ECW, became middle-aged crazy.
Oh yeah.
And started being a hardcore icon. That's Sting to me, just jumping off of mezzanines and stuff, and you're like, what the hell is he doing?
I know, he's 64 years old. He's like, we all thought maybe he should be careful. We're like, what are we talking about? Don't be careful. He just seems like he's having the best time ever too.
And then every time he does something crazy, it's like, that's the last time I ever want to see that. And then it's like he does something like that ladder spot into the 2 tables where it looked like he basically broke 3 ribs. And you're just like, what are you doing, you crazy old man? No, he's been fantastic in this era. And it's really one of those things that has helped, especially when early AEW was around. And so you had your indie stuff, you had Cody's Southern style feuds, and then you had Sting just doing whatever the hell he wanted to do. It was kind of a nice potpourri of wrestling that you had in there.
I'm so like, I know I'm gonna cry later, and I haven't watched a lot of the like videos, but I'm just really happy that we have an AEW to have had this kind of final the ability to have like this. I saw the Muta show, the Bye Bye show with him and Sting, and I really enjoyed that match. So I mean, I at least got a taste of something, and it was so much fun because they were both everybody, these big names are retiring sort of all at once because that's what happens because timing. But it was like, oh, I got a taste of what people were talking about.
The one that'll get you weepy is Darby playing audio messages for Sting that were left at that number at the Athletic. And it's like, oh God, it's like 20 minutes of guys telling Sting how much they meant to him and stuff. It's like, FTR and Sting's daughter. And
I'm only allowed to shed one single tear, and I'm saving it for later tonight. So.
Oh yeah, but you're doing it off camera. You don't have to tell anybody.
Fair enough. Right. Exactly. Let's see. NES says, I wonder what Sting's final entrance will look like. I have no idea, but I think it'll look good. I'm excited. It'll be a great send-off. I mean, we're assuming that it's going to be the last match of the night, right? Like,
oh, it is.
Okay, they've
has to be.
I mean,
and they said it was the main event. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sting being a babyface and taking a beating from Vader, Great American Bash was such a shocker at the time. You rarely saw that. That's what Daza says. So, see, changed wrestling then. He's changing it now. So. All right.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm hoping that video is I hope they do like a nice career retrospective versus just starting on Nitro.
was reading what they're allowed to say and what they aren't because of what they'll be able to have access to in terms of like video packaging and stuff, but it'll be fine. I think they've done a really good job with limited availability for plenty of things. So
I would be shocked if I think it's a new day in WWE. I think if
you think
Tony
so?
came and asked for some well, maybe if he asked for a little bit of WCW footage, like Hunter was part of WCW during the time of Sting. So, they might be, sure, go ahead, man.
I hope so.
I got my win over him at Mania. It's cool with me.
It's not like I'm giving anything away.
Here's that footage, by the way. Make sure you put it in your system that I beat him with a sledgehammer at WrestleMania.
Oh, nice. That's important stuff. Eddie says, I love Crow Sting, his 90s kid. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of it a little bit too. Brad says, the countdown to Revolution show they did after Rampage was awesome and really well done. I hear that about all of the ones that they do. I think Will Washington was saying that he was like he put this one together and was really proud of it. So don't quote me on that. I think he tweeted about it. All right. Well, we should get into the show stuff because we're going to talk about the card, if that's okay, unless you have anything.
Oh, no. Go ahead. We can talk about anything. Yeah, we can talk about anything.
Well, I mean, so Sam sent her picks for the show as well. So we'll make sure. And I told her make fun of those. I mean, read them. And we'll go ahead and do that as we go along. And I'm going to just kind of do this in the order that I'm going in the order that her picks are in. So if I'm a little off, then so be it. But all right, guys, we are going to get into the Revolution show for AEW for tonight. If I can figure out how to work the graphics, because I'm a dork. It's 0 hour. And there's a women's match. I mean, yay. It's a women's match. So Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale versus Julia Hart and Sky Blue. What do you think about this match? What do you think about this situation? What do you think about Angry Willow last night on Collision?
I hate this angle, to be honest with you. Because I don't think anybody wants a heel Willow Nightingale.
I don't either.
I think it's just dumb, to be honest with you. And, I like Stokely. I just want Stokely with a real heel faction, so to speak, and they have him doing this comedy stuff. Julia and Sky, all right, they give him something to do. And Statlander, to me, is... She had the most potential of any woman on the roster. I just don't think she can fit there because I don't think she has the personality to get over on promos. That's my problem with her. But I think somehow Statlander and Willow lose, and it becomes like a shoving match afterwards. It just continues that angle.
All right. So I've got... I don't know. I feel like I'm with Julia on this one just because of where she's at. And I mean, I know they're trying to make Willow heel, but I'm not sure. I feel like being the contrarian here, mainly because Sam has Willow and Chris also. So she's picking Willow and Chris on this one. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm in complete agreement with you about no one wants... Why would you take... Talk about frustrating booking. Why would you take one of the most natural baby faces on your entire roster and try and do this? This reeks of WWE stuff where you're trying to force a heel.
Not just that, but they had the moment to turn her heel was when she had the mist on, and now they just kind of went back to it and they go, "Hey, you remember when she was misted? It's been lingering in there for 6 months, whatever. And now it's coming out, blah blah blah." But if Statlander
missed flare-ups, apparently.
Yeah, if Statlander and Nightingale win this, it's because one of them cheat, and it still becomes a thing where they're arguing with each other. So either way, Statlander and Nightingale end this night kind of shoving each other, giving each other off looks or whatever, and Stokely is Stokely.
So this is just, I mean, I think everybody's sort of in universal agreement that they're like, I mean, I guess give it to those guys so that they can turn her heel, but either way,
I don't know. A lot of this feels swervy.
It's like no one's excited about this. Like no one is excited about this.
Like the whole Willow thing seems swervy to me. Like they're going heavy on it. Like she's acting heelish, and then Statlander's gonna end up slugging her or something like that. And then that'll make no sense. And
So
that's
this
what
is just going to be a shenanigans match. So it's not even really going to be a real women's match. It's just going to be like a bunch of a schmoz.
It's an angle match.
There'll be some wrestling and a big schmoz, and somebody will win or not, or it'll be a DQ or something, and that will kind of suck more because that will make. I hope that there's something real here because it will make the angle suck more if they don't do something with this, like meaningful. If it's just a bunch of madness, in my opinion, in one girl's opinion. All right, we've got a lot of rumbles tonight.
I'm not even aware of the 0 hour matches, so it's one of those things where
that's okay.
I'm looking at these for the first time and going, okay.
I found out some of them they put up earlier, and then some of them, like you found out last night or the night before. I think Collision was taped this week. So we've got the Bang Bang Scissor Gang versus the Jarrett group over here that, Sanjay and Jeff Jarrett, and I can't remember what is their
Private
name?
Party, and it looks like
do they have a name for this group, or is this just like a group of dudes?
It's just a group of dudes, I think.
All right, sweet. So group of dudes versus Bang Bang Scissor Gang. What do you think?
I love me some Lethal Jarrett and Satnam.
I know.
But it's gotta be Bang Bang Scissor Gang. It has to be because they're not teasing the turn yet. So they're going to get one unified win out of them. And I think this is going to be it.
I think it makes the most sense because of who they're teamed up against. Because it's like Jeff Jarrett and company. It's kind of just I hopefully this will be a decent match because there's a lot of good people in it. Like you said, Sanjay's in it. I'm not sure how I feel about the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, but I'm going with it because I love Jay White so much. I think you guys nailed it on Wednesday when you said that it's missing Juice Robinson, and I think that is an element that hopefully can be overcome by some of the other stuff. But I do enjoy. I think that Austin and Colton are doing a good job wrestling wise, so it's helping them grow as wrestlers.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think it's devaluing Jay White while it's bringing up everybody else in that group, which is so.
Although to me, I feel like sure, but then you could pull Jay White out of this group at any time, throw him on TV with a new feud, and he'll make it work because he's Jay White. He's so good. Like he really is. Every time you're like, what are they doing with him? He's like, I don't care. I'll make it work. He's one of those people. He's just really talented in that way. But I do think that they're trying to really get this Bang Bang Scissor Gang over. So I think that makes it makes most sense that they would.
And win. I think Satnam will get one big spot here.
I hope so.
It's time to start putting him on TV more. If we're going to do something with him.
Seriously, they don't use him enough. And they don't use him nearly enough. But that was what. So Sam had the Bang Bang Scissor Gang here. So I guess we're all in agreement there on that one. Let's check these comments here. Anybody? Let's see. All right. Let's start with no heel Willow, please. All right. Well, this storyline is weird, says Daza, especially if they make Willow heel. It's true. We were talking about Willow going back to the Willow match. I should have caught us up. Brad. Let's see. Brad says he doesn't think Willow's going heel at all. I've seen none of that here. She even stopped Stokely giving Stat the chin the other day. So you think that somehow she keeps being a baby face. That's interesting. And then Daza says, Willow as a face, winning the title eventually would be such an emotional moment. Well, maybe that day will come. We've got the Ugga 12th man. And let's move on.
Ni hao.
It is what it is. This part of the thing. But
yep.
12-man tags. So glad I can avoid this. Too late, too early at night. Well, it's pretty late at night for Daza to stay up. So maybe he can put on an alarm during this one. But yeah. So sorry about that. We still have the Bang Bang Scissor Gang, though, so let's move on. Yay!
Yes.
All right, All-Star 8-Man Scramble. I'm throwing them all. Let's just put all the Brumbles together.
This should have been meat. There should have been more meat
This
than
was
they could
meant
handle.
to be the meat match. Unfortunately, all of the meat was spoiled before it could make it to the barbecue, and therefore we now have
Jericho.
Wardlow and Chris Jericho and some guys.
Yep. Jericho, Hobbs, Lance Archer, Wardlow, Brian Cage, Hook. And a couple of players to be named later, but I think Wardlow wins this.
He has to
get a world. This is for a world title shot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, this has got to be a setup for that because nobody else in here. This one feels a little.
Hobbs is kind of there, but I think he gets taken out by like a Sammy Guevara or something who gets put in this match or something.
Okay, to me, now that I'm looking at this, I almost feel like they should flip. This should have been the 0 hour, and the Bang Bang Scissor Gang one should have been on the main card.
Yeah,
because this is way less. Because they blew it, like it didn't happen.
Oh, that's right. Magnus and Dante Martin are a part of this.
Oh, okay. So that's why it's on the main card. So
Magnus, not Magnus.
Thank you, Hassan. Magnus,
the general manager of SmackDown. But
oh my God, whose middle name is Mark. Let's see. I love the silhouettes. Yes, me too, Daza. It's like, oh, who could it be? Oh, we already know. Right. Oh, Daza's watching late because okay, it makes sense because you'd have to stay up until 1 just to start the thing. So, all right. I can't believe Sting's career coming to an end. I remember Sting used to be. We were just talking about UWF and Eddie Gilbert. Thanks for jumping in, David.
Love me some Eddie Gilbert.
There's some Eddie Gilbert love at the beginning if you want to head back to the beginning and if you're subscribed, it's really easy.
He was such a good weasel.
Yeah, I do what I can. Winner gets title shot for the championship, says Hassan. So yeah. I get this. They've been trying to put Wardlow over, so this just makes sense that they would go ahead and make this a Wardlow winner.
Yeah, this feels like this card is going to be edging towards giving the Undisputed Kingdom some gold and some legitimacy as the major heel group in AEW, even though the Callis family is a much more interesting stable.
Agree, but that's because of the nature of the kinds of wrestling I think you and I tend to like.
Yes.
Because, like I was saying to a friend recently, I was, of course, at the Detroit show where Callis turned on Kenny. And while everyone else was booing, I just had the biggest smile on my face. I just thought it was the greatest thing in the year. I was like, I'm watching this live. It's amazing. And I just love how much, like, Don Callis is one of my favorite heels in the entire world. Like, he's so good. He throws in those random lines about 10,000 years. And he's so good at it. Like that scar gets a little bigger just a tiny bit bigger every time. Like
he's digging into it.
Yeah.
Coloring it with a marker.
I love it. I just love it. So for me, I was like standing there just grinning from ear to ear while he's turning on. Everyone else is losing their minds that he's turning on Kenny Omega. And I'm just like, this is amazing. So I think that's you and I are a little on the same page about some of that. Let's see. What's this one? Sign with AEW. Do you think so?
Yeah, I think WWE passed on her.
So, you think we'd see her tonight or later on?
I think she'd be a good shock or a good surprise. But the problem is you're building up to your big surprise in 2 weeks in Boston. So I think they're going to hold off on her. Maybe.
All right. Oh, cool. All right. So next one. And did we pick? Yeah, we picked winner. We picked Wardlow.
Yeah, we both picked Wardlow.
And so did Sam. I mean, obviously, I think we all feel the same way. I think I could speak for her on this one. So, all right. We got FTR versus Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli.
FTR are going to be very, very motivated in this match because you're having a bunch of old Crockett people coming in for the show to watch it. Magnum TA has already said he's going to be there. I think Arn's going to be there. I think, Luger, a few others. FTR is going to want to put on a nice classic tag team match here. And I'm excited for this. I loved the BCC's promo last Saturday as well. I thought they should have put that one on Wednesday just to replay it. But I got FTR winning here. They're Carolina boys. I don't think they beat them in Carolina.
There's that, and the fact that they are like they won the wrestling of. I'm surprised they haven't brought up that they were the best tag team of the year yet. It's shocking to me that they haven't brought up some of that. So I feel like they're coming in to prove it, and I think you're probably right. Though I do think it's not going to be some like pushover match. I think we're going to get a lot of. I mean, it's Moxley and Claudio. They're going to beat the hell out of them before they lose. It's
going to be so interesting. FTR playing the baby faces in peril.
I know.
In a tag team match in Greensboro, where FTR pretty much has to play Ricky Morton. That's just killing me right now. But here we are.
They kind of do, actually. That's kind of funny. You're not wrong. They almost have to like Rock and Roll Express it up a little bit.
Yeah.
They really do. I never thought about it, but because Claudio and Mox are what they are, they're not precisely heels, but they are a heel faction technically.
Yeah, and they're both tall and big. And
they're brawlers. They're monsters. So this is going to be a really good match. I'm excited for this. I think you're right. Sam has Mox and Claudio for this one.
She's wrong, but that's okay.
I think part of that is because she, as any of our viewers who are regulars know, she's not a huge fan of FTR, but so I'm not going to say it was clouding her choice.
Breaks my heart. No.
Well, she's got her reasons.
I know.
Got her reasons. There's a past there. Okay, we all have our trauma with wrestling.
Yes.
We all have our hills to die on. Okay. All right. Let's see. Where were we with? When is Megan Bayne coming back from her Japan excursion? Eddie says, I don't know, but let's hope it's not too soon because they're still working out the kinks on the women's thing. And they already aren't using people like Mariah May. Like last night was a really good example of a bad way to use her, in my opinion.
Yes.
And they were even calling it out on commentary, which kind of made me even madder, where they were like, she just ruined Mariah May's moment. And I'm like, exactly. So WTF. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm a little worried, but since I know that Mercedes is coming already, maybe they'll straighten up their act and we won't have to worry about that.
You got Jen Pepperman back there, hopefully.
That's right. We have a female with writing experience who knows what she is doing back there now.
Yes.
With lots and lots of different kinds of experience in storytelling and wrestling. So that's good. Brad says Megan's been back for a while. I thought but she hasn't been booked much on the shows, I think is the biggest thing. And let's see. Everybody's agreeing with Brad. So that's what I thought. Okay, cool. And what is this one here? So David says, just imagine a confrontation between Camille and Deonna Purrazzo. The two will take the women's division to a new level. I don't know Camille that well. I think Deonna Purrazzo is a great addition to the roster, and I'm excited for tonight's match, but I don't know how it's going to play out.
Camille is a great monster heel, and boy, thinking about it and how to debut her if she signed with AEW, I'd make her Mercedes heavy.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'd make her Mercedes bodyguard or something to that effect, and have them come in as a package deal. Because I like that. I like that thing where Mercedes can do all the talking and stuff while she's on this world title run, and eventually Camille turns on her, but not for another year and a half or so. I like that thought.
I'm into that. I'll have to. Like I said, I don't know her as well, so I would have to check. Here we go. Eddie says Megan Bayne versus Chris Statlander. That's Meat Madness. maybe not.
Stat and Camille would be Meat Madness.
Let's go. Can we do the women's blood and guts match first before we do Meat Madness?
I thought they were going to do that last year, to be honest with you, but they didn't.
They didn't. Let's go on to the next thing. Oh my gosh.
The Don
Callis family beating each other up when your family is what's best for your family.
Will
Don
Ospreay
Callis
with the
logic.
most baffling promo of the year so far, where you're watching it going, yes, I'm here. I'm a babyface. Hey, remember when I beat all the guys you like? Oh, and yeah, I'm still a member of the Don Callis family. Just went, what are we doing here? Go. I'll let you pick first here.
I think you have to let Will win his first AEW match. I think it's important. I know that I hate to keep seeing Takeshita losing because it's not my favorite thing, but he does a fair bit of it. I think you can play that into the bit a little bit, but I just think that he has to win his first AEW pay-per-view match. Like,
yeah,
seems important.
I don't think
I'm going to take Will on this one.
I'm going to take Will, but I'm going to say Don Callis turns on Will halfway through the match. And
you think they're going to do it this soon?
Yes, I think he tries to screw Will and ends up screwing up Takeshita, so Takeshita doesn't have to take a quote unquote clean loss here. So right. that makes the most sense.
And Sam has Ospreay, but Jericho gets involved because of Takeshita. So the Golden Jets outlier.
Boy, I would like nothing less than Chris Jericho being involved in this match.
Me too. I like your idea much better. I like Don Callis keeping it in the family, as it were, and screwing up everything for one of his guys and having it be. Because, I mean, there's some people that think, oh, no, he's not going to turn this quickly. But like you said,
I think up until that moment, it's going to be a fantastic match, too.
Oh, yeah, it'll be great.
So it'll be one of those things where it's like, man, great match until the finish type of a thing from the nerds who I love.
Yes. What do we got here? We'll talk about Wardlow in a little while. Don Callis. What do we got? And he says Don Callis sees Will Ospreay as Kenny heir apparent. So does Tony Khan. Yes, that's probably. I mean, he kind of has to be right now because Kenny's not around. So I mean, that makes sense. But let's move on. Yes, it's the dance match. I mean, it's Who's Your Daddy versus Dance Kid. No. It's Christian Cage versus Daniel Garcia for the TNT Championship title. I am going to take Christian on this one.
I am too.
I don't think it's going to be like clean or anything.
I'm doing a lot of overbooking in a lot of these matches. A lot of these matches feel like they need to be overbooked in some way, which is sad, because I don't think AEW fans want that necessarily.
Yeah.
But I see Adam Copeland being involved in the finish somehow and maybe accidentally spearing Daniel Garcia. And then Christian Cage picks up the win. And then you go, was that on purpose or not? Because I think the drive for Double or Nothing, I think, is going to be Christian Cage and Copeland versus FTR. But don't quote me on that.
Interesting. So Eddie's got Danny. I don't know. What I think is funny about your choice there is Sam says Daniel Garcia wins with help from Adam Copeland. So, again, involvement.
We both have Copeland being involved.
You have you have opposite outcomes, but you both have Adam Copeland somehow being involved in the match.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a safe bet.
He lives in North Carolina, so it's not a far drive for him either.
It's so terribly far away. Plus, I mean, if you're on that roster, it's Sting's retirement show.
Yes.
I would be there. Are you kidding? I wouldn't care if I wasn't on the actual show. I'd be like,
oh yeah, I'd be there. Yeah, I think every employee is in the back there.
Kidding? It's Sting's retirement. I'm going to that.
You need to do it to thank Sting for what he did for AEW. I mean,
seriously,
just as a basic thank you type thing. So
that's a great point. He really has been. Yeah, man. Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson, and if Eddie Kingston wins, Bryan Danielson has to shake his hand. Who you got?
Talked about this a little bit. I understand that Eddie Kingston is a very, very popular person for AEW. But damn if AEW doesn't need Bryan Danielson to be a title holder in this company. Especially even though this is his last go around, et cetera, et cetera. And I know Bryan Danielson wants to make everybody better and he wants to put guys over and things like that. I would if I was Tony Khan, I would have brought Bryan Danielson into my office and go, look, I get it. I'm going to have this chat with Sting in a little while too. You need to win this for the betterment of our company, Bryan Danielson, and then be the champion for a while and then give it up to somebody who's on the ascent. I have Bryan Danielson winning this for no explicable reason other than while I like Eddie, they need Bryan Danielson to have a title of some kind here.
I agree with you on what you think the outcome should be. I think that Eddie's probably going to win, though.
Yeah, I do. I know.
I think this handshake thing is going to happen. I think that maybe and hopefully you would think that would conclude their feud and that they could do what you're talking about with Danielson and they can use Eddie in other ways now. So they can move him off to, I don't know, tagging with someone or having a feud with Jon Moxley again because they're besties, but they're anti-besties because they've got Claudio between them or something. I agree with you. I agree with the premise that Eddie will probably win this too. It's just everything in my nature is saying that's such a dumb idea. It would make a ton of sense. Like, give him the Triple Crown, get him to get a bunch of people over. Like, absolutely. I just don't know if tonight's the night.
Right.
Plus, we're reset. Usually Revolution is kind of the reset, like getting ready for new storylines, time frame, and all of that jazz. So maybe that sends them. Because Danielson goes back to dealing with BCC, and I finally got to watch that Zack Sabre Danielson match from Osaka, New Beginnings in Osaka, and oh dear God, that was amazing, just amazing. He's so talented. Put all the belts on Danielson.
Yeah. And Zack Sabre Jr. is far more watchable for me.
I know.
As a heel than as a babyface.
Oh, I can't even imagine him as a babyface.
Oh, really? Because that's all I ever saw of him at one point. You're just like, all right, whatever. And then he became
Oh,
heel.
wow.
Okay,
yeah, no, I guess I've only mainly seen him, like, especially the TMDK version is like the most upgraded, like leveled up version of him. I think that they should put the belt on him and make him get into feuds with all these new kids as a heel and put them over in these matches, get them good wrestling. Like, I know it'd be weird to have a foreign champion right now, but it might be just exactly the way to shake things up.
Well, that's what I thought they were going to end up doing with whatever became Orange Cassidy's belt right now.
Right.
Go ahead.
Oh, we're working on it. We're getting there. So, so I've got Eddie and you've got Brian and Sam is with me on Eddie. No,
I think it's gonna be Eddie. It's just one of those things where it's like I'm picking Brian just to be a little bit contrarian, to be honest with you.
I hear you. I totally hear you. Let's see. Let's pop into the comments here real quick because we'll go a little backwards here. Let's see. Eddie asked, do you see AEW giving Adam Copeland a proper retirement like Sting?
Oh, I see Adam Copeland going back to WWE for one last match, I think, even though I think he probably already had his one last match, if I'm trying to recall correctly. It's just one of those things where I just don't view Copeland as being as revered by AEW or its fan base as WWE.
I know. This is a good one, too. Your Brad says, I don't think NJPW wants the title off Eddie right now. And that's a very fair point, Brad. That I wasn't even thinking because that's one of their belts that's in that Triple Crown. So,
although Danielson is around, the New Japan echo,
he just
so that'd be a guy to give it to him. Yeah,
he did. He just wrestled Zach there. So,
yep.
And Kingston versus Danielson is my favorite matchup on this show, says Daza, which I can completely understand that because this should be a really fun match. I don't think Bryan Danielson has it in him. I've seen him even in WWE. I've never seen him have a bad match, really, that I can recall. All right, let's go here. All right. Sting gives Eddie Kingston a bat to hit Bryan Danielson. Gosh, I hope not, David. I really, please.
We already have way too many screwy finishes.
Yeah, there's too many potential for weirdness in these matches right now. Let's see. And Daza says, you think we'll get Danielson versus Joe on his retirement tour? I certainly hope so.
Be fun.
That'd be a fun match because it's a weird matchup, and
I'd do it in Seattle.
That's a great idea. I might fly to Seattle to see that. This is like my favorite Joe right now, too. Eddie Kingston versus Hobbs for the Triple Crown, says Eddie. Maybe. It would help Hobbs.
Again, you have to get the politics of New Japan involved in there.
Correct.
If they'd give it to Hobbs.
But he could fight him for it and help him out. I mean,
even
with Eddie winning.
They do like Haas guys in New Japan. So, I mean, especially the Gaijin. So,
well, yeah. I mean, Bruiser Brody was like the biggest, most popular.
I was saying even now you got Cobb. You have Archer.
Right. Yep. Biggins. I love Jeff Cobb. I can't. I mean, I'm with there. I'm with him. All right. The women's match. The women's AEW World's Women's that. Easy for me to say. The World Championship. Deonna Purrazzo versus Toni Storm. I'm just going to say that I think Toni Storm is going to win this, and I don't think that they're going to end her run right now, even though I think that Deonna should win it.
Deonna should sue someone for malpractice on her career for how this entire feud has been presented, to be honest with you. Toni Storm easily winning this. They'll give Deonna a lot in the match. Be great. She can use that and parlay that into her Ring of Honor run after this.
Oh, don't say that.
Sorry. Or they're just gonna turn her heel because they've been presenting her as a heel
the entire time. You are. It's making me nuts. Stop it.
I'm trying. I love Deonna Purrazzo. I just have hated everything about this feud, to be honest with you, because I think it's been so poorly staged. But no, I think the match itself will be pretty good. But Toni Storm.
Yeah, I think the match will be good. Like I said, I'm taking Toni. I just wish Deonna, like my heart wants Deonna Purrazzo to win and to kind of move this belt around and shake it up a little the same way they have with the men's belt by putting it on someone like Joe, where it's just someone different. I mean, I get Mercedes where I know they're doing the Star is Born thing, but even last night they kind of messed it up by having her screw that.
Well, I don't think they're going to do that anymore because I think Mercedes is going to come in and take the belt off of Toni. I think they're going to I think they're just going to delay the Mariah May stuff.
So in that too, I mean, and I guess to that point, then I would rather not have Deonna win and be an interim champion.
Right.
I'd rather have her like feud with Mercedes later or something.
Yeah, no, that'll be a fun match too.
Because that could be an actual cool. So, and Sam also had Toni Storm. Although I know she's a Deonna Purrazzo fan as well. So let's see. What do we got? Daza, because Daza is the movie fan. He says, I like the fun and creativity of what they've done with Toni, but I think it takes away from my excitement for the actual matches.
It's a great gimmick. It just should not be anywhere near the world title. That's the problem with it.
Well, and there's too much of it. Yeah. Like it's wrestling. Like there still needs to be the wrestling, and Toni can wrestle, or we hope she can, and needs to do some more wrestling.
It's a very overpowering spice. Is what we're trying to say.
Yes. It's like too much clove.
It's cinnamon.
It's cinnamon and clove. Too much.
And clove. A little bit's great. Too much of it overpowers a dish. You don't want it there. Yes.
Although I did appreciate last night's broadcast was cracking me up because only like weirdos and movie people would not realize that because she was wearing like green and stuff because they kept showing her in the ring and then showing her in the black and white, but she was wearing all the correct colors.
Yes.
So the black and white comes out best. And I was like, I'm such a nerd. But my absolute most favorite thing in the entire world during that entire thing was when Kevin Kelly said to Nigel McGuinness, hey, Bert, isn't there a chimney that needs to be swept in East London somewhere?
Good Mary Poppins joke I'm always here for. I am.
I knew you would get it.
Nigel dying at the kiss was great too, but yeah.
It's because he came back up there and he said, isn't there a chimney in East London? I was like, Kevin Kelly making Mary Poppins references on my wrestling is why I love this place so much. I about died, but
Nigel and Kevin are a great little tandem. It's just a shame
they're getting good.
It's just a shame that we still have. I love Tony Schiavone. It's obvious he's here to babyface Kevin Kelly, or to babysit Kevin Kelly. So
it's a little too much. I think Nigel and Kevin could handle Saturday night. Kevin Kelly's done big major. He's done the Tokyo Dome. Like, it's, even if it was for the English commentary, still he can handle a couple of hours on a TV show. The guy's done like major broadcasting. So let's see. What's this? We've got, I don't know. Abaddon comes to the ring and hits Tony Storm with a steel chair and helps David, are you just trying to overbook on purpose? I think you're messing with me here, is what I think. He's like, he's like, I'm gonna give you the wildest scenario. And it's like, okay, if like a pitchfork happens, you can be like, see, I was right. Like prop betting.
This comes off like the time I tried to book Bailey as taking the demon away from Finn Balor.
That'd be awesome. But it would be awesome. Demon Bailey would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's how I was going to turn her heel originally. That's what I pitched.
Well, that would have been better, actually, than probably the way they did it, in my opinion. More interesting. Those two would have a banger. Anyway. So this was the Orange Cassidy. This is the Orange Cassidy international belt versus Roderick Strong.
I think Roddy takes this because I think they're going to start putting some gold on the Undisputed Kingdom, and I think the story of Orange Cassidy and his Precious is no longer as strong as it was before he lost it the first time. So I think Roddy needs this a little bit more. So I think he takes it in a very it won't be clean. Let's put it that way. There's going to be some Bennett, Taven, something or other here.
And I kind of agree with you, even though I don't want to I haven't been overwhelmed with the Roderick Strong situation. It's not been something that has been for me, but I know it's getting over with people big time. And I know he's over with people big time. So I get it. It's not for me. There's other stuff on the show for me.
Right.
But this would be a way to help elevate him, and Orange Cassidy can do other things. So I would say, just for Schnitz and giggle, I'm going to go with Roddy on this one. I'm going to give it to him this week, just because, like you said, I think he certainly needs it. But I have to give you the Sam's version here, because she does have outside interference. She has, let's see. Roderick Strong takes it, but Okada saves Orange Cassidy from the post-match beatdown. So she's got Okada showing up today during this because of the Chaos connection and best friends. And
if I were AEW, I would disconnect Chaos and Okada. I just would. That's me. I know. I would just reintroduce him and him having nothing to do with it and just not even acknowledge it. That's me, though. I can't see anything worse for Okada than bringing him in and then hampering him with the best friends. I'm sorry.
Maybe he can help them.
I like the best friends overall. I like Orange Cassidy. I even like Danhausen.
Even Rocky's over there now.
Yeah, but that's the epitome of the high school quarterback being friends with the chess club. I have no interest in it.
Hey, you got to get someone to do your homework.
It's like right? Ric Flair hanging around with Paul Jones's army. It's wow. There are guys that are great and there are guys that are geeks, and you just don't want to hang around with the geeks. That's all.
I mean, I think that it was interesting what she proposed here. But
plus I think Orange Cassidy is the star of that group right now. You don't want to bring in a guy that's a bigger star than Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you bring in Okada to help, that makes
sense. You bring in Ishii, it's fine. Ishii is secondary to Orange Cassidy, and he's Chaos. That's fine. You bring in Yano, he's Chaos. You bring in Okada, though. Okada's like, oh my God, he's so dreamy. You know, that guy, you don't want to bring him in with that's just me.
It would be weird only because I feel like the Bucks and Okada are such good friends from all the way back to their like indie days, because they were like some of the first people that helped him kind of get acclimated to culture
get the
here.
Connections. It's just Okada's a main event player.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I don't necessarily see him showing up during this match. I just don't see it's not outside of if they want to keep him with that. But I'm with you. I mean,
I'm sure the crowd will pop for the gotta give the people what they want when Okada comes in, does Rainmaker, pans out, then they come in for the hug and it pans in. Okay, great. We do that for a camera trick just for his. Okay, never mind. I'm
You're
getting
like,
angry now.
oh no, now I'm starting to realize that she might be right. Damn it. Well, see, because I had so with the big business thing, I was like, well, Rainmaker and Money. So you could have both because money and big business and all that. But then Sam and I talked it through and decided that it would be like diminishing to her debut if you did maybe both on the same time. Maybe not. So we were trying to decide if we felt like Okada was going to show up tonight. So that was something that maybe we'll talk about that in a minute. So let's check and see if anybody has anyone else to say on this one. We got Brad has Roddy wins UK attack post match. Yep, he's got Okada makes the save. Oh, geez. Brad agrees with Sam. He said, I posted that right before you read Sam's. We're on the same wavelength. You guys are.
I guess to temper my negativity towards it, I guess you could have Okada come in and take the belt right off of Roddy.
Yeah. I mean, he could. That would be weird. I don't know.
Okada's so much bigger than
I'm going to stick with Roddy. I'm going to stick with Roddy, but I do think that the outside interference is almost inevitable in this one. Again, we're in another one with boom, 3-way. Got Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, and Hangman Adam Page for the World Championship. So is this the winner gets a shot at the championship or the winner gets the championship?
The winner is the champion.
Okay, so I don't see Samoa Joe winning or losing, right now. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Even though Swerve is super duper hot right now, I just don't see Tony putting the belt on him tonight. But I would take Joe in this match.
I am taking Joe, and I think people are going to be disappointed by the ending in a way, because I everything to me here screams Swerve is about to beat Joe, and Hangman somehow, this was something brought by my co-host Chris Novembrino, and I loved it. Like, Swerve is about to pin Joe or something, and Hangman just takes the ref and goes, I submit to Joe, and just leaves. And just screws him out from winning the title so that Joe wins. A great match up until then, but then Hangman realizes he can't win, but doesn't want Swerve to win either. So he just submits out of the blue to nothing. And then Joe wins. And it would be perfect to me. But I know people would be angry about that, but that's also why you're not making it the main event match. You're putting it second to last so that all any bad will is taken away from the main event thing. But yeah, Samoa Joe's possibly the best world champion in wrestling right now. I don't see you taking it off of him just yet. And plus, when Swerve wins, you want it to be a one-on-one match so that he's coronated in a way.
So agree with that. That last part should be a punctuation mark to people. Is like, you don't want him winning in the 3-way. You want a definitive singles, like pure wrestling match against whoever it is. Especially, that's groundbreaking.
To take Brad's thing too, it's like, either submitting or just, finger poke of doom.
Oh,
smiles or something like that. Yeah. Or Paige just lays down for Joe just so that he can win.
Oh, okay. We got you, Brad. Or no, that's David. David's got Samoa Joe wins and makes Swerve tap out. Brad says they've been hyping Swerve and making history at this point, that it needs to happen, but I also want Joe to hold the title forever. I kind of agree with that too. Paige getting pinned with a smile on his face to piss off Swerve could be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be somehow where Paige goes, "You're not getting this title no matter what, even if I have to
lose it."
Yeah,
yep, that's fair. That would be kind of a good story. Honestly, that'd be a great story. That's a good story because it's like he has to swallow his pride in that regard. And Joe has been such Oh man, he's been a windfall for the belt right now.
So
He's
great.
been such a breath of fresh air. I never realized that I needed Joe as champion of anything. Like I was like, holy crap, this is so overdue.
That first promo with the
I mean,
suit
I know he did in ROH, but
before he won the title, when he did that cut in where he's there with the suit talking about the finer things in life and stuff like that. And Kevin Ely and I go, we just make this guy champ tomorrow because he's so awesome. That's everything I want in a champ.
yes, the suit was like something I really appreciated, like the Okada era where he was like suit and clean cut and really, and I mean, and it's Joe's version of that, obviously. He's just got so much presence and he's just like the commander of the ring, and you feel like probably since Moxley have I felt like, yeah, this is the guy right now. Like I'm happy with this. And I mean, I don't want to take anything away from it, but it just Max's run, MJF's run, it just wasn't as impressive. He's come in and just sort of like righted the ship for me. Maybe that makes me old school, but
no, but it is old school, and I think that's why it's working, because other people were doing other things with that title where it just seemed like MJF was using it to prop up how big of a personality he could be.
Mm-hmm.
Which almost felt like, hey, I'm auditioning for Hollywood for parts right now, kind of a thing. Kenny was doing some sort of weird performance art with Don Callis. He was kind of playing a wrestler, playing a heel type of a thing. It wasn't even him being a real heel necessarily. And Hangman, his first thing was just kind of to do good work rate matches against big guys, because he had the cage match and he had the Lance Archer 2-week feud. It was very weird where he was trying to get in there and be the underneath guy to a lot of guys, and it just he was just being Hangman, but he was also just cutting like the emo promos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like it didn't work for me either. And then of course he had Jericho and his
Jericho.
His run as champion, which I thought mostly good, but there were times where like every time he'd get in there with a young guy to get him over, he'd beat him type of a thing. And you're just like, that's not really thing too. This is kind of the first old school, pure straight ahead champion that they've had in a long time for me. And I'm really enjoying Joe here, but I like Daz's idea too. That's not a bad one.
God, Paige holds down Swerve's legs while Joe is pinning him so he can't kick out. Yeah. Jeez.
But I like the idea of Hangman not screwing Swerve physically,
having to sacrifice something.
But him just looking at Swerve and going, "Oh, you're right at that moment of winning, and now I'm going to take that away from you. And this is the worst thing I could ever do to somebody," kind of a thing. That's why the psychology of it.
I like that. No, I'm
because
I'm
Paige is
idea.
Such a Captain Ahab going after his white whale right now.
Yeah, you're right. He's like, this is the best he's been in a long time. I hope he keeps this momentum up because he could get back to a place where
I would love this Paige with the Bucks.
Oh yeah. That'd be such a weird, like, fun paradox where he's like, they're like, yeah, I like that. I'm into that. All right, so we've all got Joe, and I think yes, Sam also has Joe. I think we're all on Joe, but I do like the idea of this one being a little more psychological, especially after all the other ones that are probably going to be a little cuckoo. Not a bad way necessarily, but and then the coup de grace. Yes, I pronounced it phonetically.
Oh, I was hoping you'd go for the Daffy Duck coup de Gracie.
Gracie? There you go. Brad's got a comment here real quick before we move on. I know Paige has said that Swerve will win the title over his dead body, but Paige has mentioned how he wants to be the champ. He just doesn't want Swerve to reach his destination, which is interesting. Exactly. So we're all on the same page here. So, yep. So the coup de Gracie, as it were.
This match fascinates me from a booking standpoint to no end. It really does, because everything in you says that Sting is that old school guy who would want to lay down and look at the lights for that last three. But there is something about Sting going out as the only undefeated wrestler ever in AEW. Going out as a champion. I thought they should have won the tag team titles here. And I've imagined God, Flair's going to do a spot here where he turns on him and then returns somehow. It's Greensboro. He has to be there. Sorry, Mel.
It is what it is. I know. I mean, Sam knows too. We all do. Long ago, we accepted it.
Can Tony talk him into winning this match? And I think he can, because I think eventually there's a way. See, I had booked a way where Darby then picks Copeland as his tag partner, and then Copeland ends up giving the tag belts to himself and Christian, and that's how they get to those two and FTR. Boy, this is going to be heavily overbooked with a lot of spots, but this is going to be a party match because that's why it's a tag team tornado match. Sting is jumping off of something tall. I'm looking forward to that.
Last chance. So.
Last chance, supposedly.
I mean, theoretically. Never say never, but.
I don't think Darby turns heel here. I had seen some people kind of thinking that, but Darby's never going to turn heel, I don't think.
Not here, certainly.
No.
Especially with the Bucks playing the kind of heels that they're playing.
I don't know what
they are meant to be giant, they're like VIP douchebags.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what booking you do on the Bucks end to try and get them to lose it. Because we've already played the Flair card. Again, my dream spot in this match is Flair, Arn, and Tully try and beat down Sting and then get so worn out that they're on the floor and they can't do anymore. Then Sting just moves on with the match. But that's never going to happen.
No.
Despite what I want. I think Luger will probably get a shot from his wheelchair on the Bucks in some point here. Because he'll be there. Why not? Magnum hit somebody with a cane. It's going to be a fun match. I do think Sting comes out of this on top. I think he goes out the only undefeated AEW wrestler in history. And I think that's, if you're not going to retire the TNT title with Sting, which I thought they might do here, I actually thought originally the match was going to be Christian and Sting here, and that Sting would win the title. And then they retire it kind of like they did with Brody Lee, and they put another belt. But I think if you're not going to do that, you kind of retire the tag titles in Sting's name. You come up with new tag titles in a way. Maybe you do a tournament. Maybe you let Darby pick a partner, whatever.
Tony loves tournaments. So
he does.
I mean, I've always seen this as Sting and Darby winning, them retiring those belts, and there being a tournament. Sam and I have talked about it so many times, but for us, it's like we really do see I mean, I'll read her thing here, but I'm gonna pop into these comments because
I like some of these ideas. I just don't think you do them in Greensboro. I'm sorry. It's one of those things.
Brad here saying I fantasy book Sting, Darby retaining, giving up the title, and they do a C2 for the tag titles.
I don't mind that.
Don't mind that one. Daz has got the Jacksons are such good heels because I swear I'd love to slap them both. Yes, that's they're playing asshole bosses perfectly.
But they're also playing different asshole bosses. They're playing good cop, bad cop asshole bosses perfectly.
Yeah. Well,
my brother, he's a little hot-headed, but you really should pay that fine.
Exactly.
Like
Jack Perry returned to help the Bucks spread questions.
I can't see that. I like the idea.
I think he's staying in Japan for now.
And it would be great for heat on Jack Perry.
Fair enough.
But you can't do that in Greensboro. This crowd is going to be so old school.
Well, there's too many things already because you're going to get the Flair interference.
Yes.
And Flair is going to be involved in this match one way or another.
Flair's going to come down and shove over, or he's going to be at ringside at some point. He's going to get up on
drinking that stupid mushroom drink.
Yeah,
that's paying his salary.
Yeah,
believe us.
He's going to take a bump, probably to 2 super kicks.
Maybe. No,
he's taking a bump. He wants to bump.
Okay. I mean,
if he dies, he dies. He's going to take a bump.
I know. Okay,
that's a Rocky IV reference, not me wishing death on him.
That is a Rocky IV reference, and if you missed it, I'm sorry for you.
Yes.
Thanks, Yvonne Drago.
Jeff, if your Dynamite co-host says he may quit AEW if the Jacksons win, who's your new co-host going to be? It's going to be Kevin Healy because
he's smart.
Right now, James is incapacitated a bit. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good. Yeah, that'd be a nice little like boom.
Gonna miss Paul.
Dynamite
Paul can
crossover.
come in occasionally to his thing, but why we have to stick to the stipulations if it's retirement.
Right. I mean,
match.
that's the step. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That's right. He's quitting. So quit if the Jacksons win.
Unlike Tully Blanchard, he'll be one to quit.
So this is a loser leaves town match for Paul.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Sting and Ultimate Warrior started their careers together as the Blade Runners under the tutelage of Rick Bassman, UWF. Yes.
Yeah, Rick Bassman's UWF was different, though. But
that was a different one. There's like multiple.
Yeah,
UWF.
Bassman.
And
yeah,
then
Bassman's
I caught the last UWF I.
Oh, God.
It's on YouTube. A friend of mine. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It was awesome. Oh my God. He was like, no, we have to watch this together and talk about it. So we watched it and it was fantastic. It was one of my favorite things ever. I got to see Sakuraba though. And I loved it. Shoot style is, I know I shouldn't love it, but I love it. So
it's like me watching the Team Challenge series in AWA. And I actually loved it in a lot of ways because it was like, I liked Laugh Olympics by Hanna-Barbera. So
yes. Or Celebrity Deathmatch.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So Laugh Olympics was great. Come on. Let's see. Here we go.
Come on.
Nick and Matt Jackson win.
I get
No.
I get it.
No. All right.
I get it, but no.
No.
We don't need Jericho returning 15. I mean, he already turned twice in that Atlantis program.
We don't need him in this. I don't think we need him in this match. I think putting too much into this is
hey, I was on Nitro too. I'm gonna go down there. No, Jericho, no, stop.
Like try and channel like the Noah show where they did the Muda Bye Bye, where you had like all the stuff and you had the thing in the ring, and then there was some after match stuff where he like resolved a bunch of his outlier stuff, and it's fine.
Yeah,
like that was a really great sort of opus for him. It was like this, like all the things in his career were final, and he fought everyone he needed to in there, and he fought a bunch of new guys too, and like Darby, and he had his Sting moment, and he had his like time with I just lost his name entirely, but with the two ex-Japanese wrestlers that used to be his, it was great. It was just such a good show. Anyway,
that one was.
No, stumbling over myself, but they should. That's the one I would channel if I was going to make a retirement show.
Yeah, all that match was Darby running into guys.
Yeah,
if you watch it, it was just like Sting and Muda did a little bit, but Darby was just going in there, just throwing himself against the other three.
But it was just such a happy, like I think this will be more technically, obviously sound like that. There'll be more technical.
But you want it to be a happy thing. You don't want it to be.
But it should be happy. It should be engaging, and I think that the Bucks and Darby, and I think Sting will want this, but I mean, we're talking about 4 very creative performers. I don't think that the moment is going to pass them by. Like, I don't think that the gravity of this is missing them by any stretch of the imagination. I think when you think about it, they probably are thrilled to death that they get to be part of the Bucks, get to be part of like giving him his real retirement.
You know what this feels like it could be? It could be one of those like walk-in brawls where you go into certain set pieces and there's a certain group of people from Sting's career watching it type of thing. Like, oh, here's the Crockett room where everybody's watching Sting. And then they walk in, there's a bunch of NWO guys or whatever in there.
I would love that. I could totally get into that. Yeah. They're all screaming and watching the monitor together. Got a little old tube TV like it's still the 90s. They
Luger, Magnum, Dustin, Double A, and Tully and are watching with Flair and trying to hold Flair back from getting involved.
Amazing. I'm in. Sold. Oh, Daza was also a Laugh Olympics fan.
He's a Scooby Doobies guy.
Scooby Doobies supporter. I was all over the place.
I was the really rottens. I really liked Dastardly and Muttley.
Yeah, Dastardly and Muttley were pretty awesome. They really were. I was a Great Babe fan though, so because I'm a dork. So.
Okay.
And I Doggy Daddy and Augie Doggy
and Doggy Daddy.
Doggy Daddy, yeah. So good stuff. Yeah, that's where we all went off to. So do we got here? Oh, yeah. Okay. So, all right. So now that we've done our classic cartoons portion of the program, and that was our last one. So that's going to be the final match of tonight's show. So let's see. Oh, wait, let's get Sam's got a little bit of what she thought here. She said, Sting and Darby win, and the Bucks beat Darby's ass after the match become mega heels. Is what I want to happen. What will probably happen is the Bucks handing Sting his one and only loss in AEW, making them mega heel. So she thinks that the Bucks are going to win and become dickheads, like of the Ultimate Order, by breaking that.
Yeah, and that would make sense. It really would, because Sting would say, "Hey, I don't want to be the focal point of a company's history." And it's the old school thing. I can go either way, but I do think, I just think it'd be cool to give Sting the moment. Because when we were thinking his last, even though I thought the Hunter match was going to be his last match, to be honest with you. And then they did the Rollins feud, which was nothing too. So. No, Daza. No, we don't want him with a salmon suit going.
Oh my gosh, Daza. Imagine if Sting turned on Darby and said his retirement was all a hoax. It was all a flashback.
It's all of a sudden it's a Jericho program where it's like, I got one last run in me. Give me that world title.
We've gone into Dallas territory. This whole thing was a lie. It was a lie. Which one was the greatest retirement speech?
Oh, the Mark Henry one.
Oh, the Mark Henry one. Okay, good. Yeah.
Where John Cena comes out. Nope. One last run on top, brother.
I have a lot left in the
Sting versus Joe. Here we go.
Oh my God. I don't know. Listen, if Sting wants to stay around and they're like just playing us and this isn't his retirement, that's fine too. It's just.
I thought that first time when they were talking about it was all in or whatever, I thought that meant Sting was getting a match at Wembley too. I thought that was going to be his, and that was after they had already announced it. I thought, well, maybe he's just going to do it at the big show type of a thing. But he'll pop in for nobody.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Nobody's ever truly
gone. No, well, you're talking about Ric Flair wanting to take a bump tonight.
He's going to take a bump tonight.
Oh, Jesus.
I guarantee he takes some sort of minor, sad-ass looking bump.
Yeah, you're right. Does he need to take any more sad-ass looking bumps, really?
He took one on
Wednesday. Actually, you know what? F him if he wants to do that.
Exactly. And this is how he wants to go. This is how he's going to go.
That's fine with me, actually.
And you know what? We shouldn't stop the show if his heart goes either. We should just go. This is how Rick wanted it, everybody.
Exactly. That's it. In the grand tradition of what Rick would have wanted, we should just go on with the show and just leave him lying there.
If Ric Flair, God help us, drops dead for any reason, after the show, Sting should pin him for a 3 just to be certain. Then we can finally move on with our lives.
It's all over.
I love Ric Flair. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're so mean saying these things." Ric Flair is possibly my favorite wrestler ever, but
he's also
a horrible human being. He's
not
long past his prime, and he should not be getting accolades at this moment in his career when all this other stuff has come out.
No. But if he wants to fall down and oops, he's like 900.
Oh yeah, he won't. It'll be one of those things where he kind of drops to his knees. He doesn't actually fall because he's trying to outlive that second heart and liver of his. But yeah, it's one of those things where he'll take the double super kick and he'll just kind of drop down like Bronco Lubitsch at World Class as a referee type of a thing where he goes on to all fours and then eventually down all the way.
I guess the best part is that Sam and Nikki will be there, so they'll be able to report back to us.
There's
and tell us like the gruesome details.
There's a lot of people that are going to be there that I didn't think were going to be there. Like Sean Ross Sapp's going to be there. Bunch of other journalists. I almost got on a plane.
And the more they started adding to this card, the more I was seeing, and I was like, "This is Sting's retirement. I'm not that far away. I've got miles." And then I was like, "No, I can't do that this year."
There's a couple of times where I've really regretted not spending the money to go.
Yeah.
Orlando WrestleMania, when the Horsemen were inducted, and it was Ric Flair's last match with HBK. I regret that one. I regret just because I hate New York City. I lived there for a very short time. I did not like it at all.
I can understand.
Going to NXT Brooklyn with Sasha and Bailey, because I was such a big Sasha and Bailey mark at that time. I really regret not seeing that one live. And then this one might be third.
This one I definitely was very, very if I could have pulled that together in this year, we might have gone, because especially, I mean, I would have gotten to hang out with Sam for the first time in real life, and it would have been great.
Now, don't get me wrong, there ain't jack crap to do in Greensboro.
No, it was hilarious actually watching everyone check in last night, being like, what do we do?
Yeah.
It's not even a collision to go to. What do we do?
It's kind of in the middle of because I've been to Greensboro Coliseum a few times for ACC tournaments. Because
I haven't been that far inland. I'm very coastal. My North Carolina is all like Outer Banks, and that's my knowledge of this.
No, with the exception of the one year we played in Charlotte, UVA would always go there for the ACC tournament. We'd hang around there for a bit. So it's like I already knew it was that, and Rock Hill, South Carolina are both kind of they're kind of in the middle of nowhere.
There's not much down in those areas.
I suggest people go to Bojangles and they go to Cookout and they experience the fast food wonders of those two restaurants.
Bojangles, I forgot about Bojangles.
They're getting one in Vegas, and I'm so excited. I'm like, I might actually have to drive out there for that. Are you kidding me?
I forgot all about that. Oh, I miss some of the Virginia food.
Get some cheer wine. I'm all about that.
I miss just having sweet tea everywhere you go.
If anybody is in North Carolina for the first time, they've never had cheer wine soda, I can't recommend it highly enough.
Do it. There's so many fun parts of the country. I haven't been down there in forever, so I just haven't been that far inland.
The Triangle's fun to visit, and it's not that far away. If the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area.
I want to go for a show, though. I would definitely want to go, for us to go to.
This would be the show to go to,
obviously, but it's too late for that because we are #not in Greensboro, and I forgot to put that up there. But
you should meet her in Atlanta, because Atlanta shows are fun usually.
Oh, we go to Atlanta, and then we can meet other people we know too, and that's not so far from there. Yeah, no, I'm all about. One day I'm going to get down there. I think that if things keep going, and AEW kind of gets back on track, they've got all the talent in the world. Let's see what happens, but. I mean, this is going to be my first year. I'm not going to Forbidden Door because I have kind of no interest in what it potentially looks like. And I don't want to go to Long Island right now. I love I have friends there, but it's too much. Like you, I have enough of New York dealing. And
I did a couple months at NYU. It was enough for me.
I've been a few times. It's like, it's
great
to visit.
I like parking.
It's great to visit.
Yeah.
You can't stay there it's too much city for me. I liked Seattle because it was like city, but not like it's not overkill city. Like Detroit is a city, man. You go down to Detroit.
Yeah.
You don't mess around.
I like grocery stores. So that's what.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, I'd love to come to England. I don't know about her. I've never been to London. I've never been to England. It's one of those things where I thought about going to this last Wembley, and I've thought about going to this Wembley show.
I'm thinking if I go to a show this year, it's probably going to be Wembley.
Yeah.
It's a little expensive right now, but
yeah, I'm waiting to see if the prices fluctuate.
Not just the tickets for the show itself, but the actual flight is a little much right now. But it's still so easy to get into. And I have friends in Dublin that'll go, so in the Dublin area, so I would get to see them. So it's always, and then I get to meet Daza. Maybe
you come to Vegas and meet Daza one of those days because he loves some Vegas.
Oh my God, I couldn't wait for all of it. It's so expensive.
That's true. Double or Nothing though is Memorial Day weekend.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's so expensive. The whole thing is like thousands of dollars to fly out there and stay and get the
That's
tickets
true. It's
on a
driving. It's
holiday
driving distance for
weekend.
me. Yeah, no, that's true.
Yes, you can drive. If I could drive, I would totally do it. But
And then I choose not to drive because I'm just like, it's Vegas Memorial Day weekend. I don't want to go.
Well, I'm not a huge Vegas fan either. Is part of my problem. I don't gamble. I'm not a gambler. I don't.
That's why.
I don't. I already have to give away enough of my money to things that I don't want to. So I'm not like willing to.
No, I get it.
It's not me. I think I played a hand of video poker that Bob put the money into the poker machine, and I played for like an hour. I won $25. He put in $5. I won $25. I was like, I'm out. That's gambling for me right there.
That's cool.
That's it for me.
Yeah, I find Vegas a little bit overpriced now.
I'd rather do like Chicago or
Chicago's
Wembley would be cool because Chicago is easier to get around. You can walk around and you can take the L. Like it's so much easier.
Yeah, the only problem is when they do the shows
if it's at the United Center, not if it's out at
Arlington
Winthrop.
Heights. Yeah,
or whatever the out. I mean, we could all go crash at JD's house. Is what we would have to do.
Yeah, but JD would force you to wrestle for a bet or something. So I don't want to.
So I mean, come on.
Oh.
we could all. I'm sure a few of us could take each other on this network. Like,
okay.
Chicago is great. I loved Chicago.
It's one of my favorite food cities. Like
definitely.
There are three places. I love New Orleans. I love Chicago, and I love Philadelphia. I mean, I came very close to going to Mania.
Are you going to Mania this year?
No. You can't pay me enough to sit outside in March or April in Philly. It's gonna be cold. I went to the Rumble in Philly the last time I was there. The time when Nakamura and Asuka won.
Mm-hmm.
Getting out of there, getting an Uber or whatever out of there is close to impossible. So it's one of those things because all their arenas are in one area type of thing in the South Side. But it's also one of my favorite walk and drink cities because like all the bars open at like 10. Nice. And they have good restaurants and stuff in Philly. I used to go for an improv festival there every year, and my best friend in college meets there. So we'd go from restaurant and bar hopping, and it's just a phenomenal city.
I have so many friends around there. And it's just, I haven't been since I was a kid. So
and
it
New
would
Orleans
be easy for me
too.
to get around there because I know so many people that are from that area.
Like the French Quarter is amateur hour, but it's still fun to go there and eat.
Yeah, but you got to go once in your life.
Yeah, you got to go. You got to go.
I will say this is the one place I have not yet been. It's the city that I have not yet gone to is New Orleans, and I need to go. But I have friends they all go at different times. So I want to go with people that know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? One of my things about like a lot of the places I've gotten to visit, I've gotten to at least like there's someone there that I know. And it's always better to go to a place with the locals because they take you to all the best stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a big touristy person. Like I lived in Seattle for years and didn't go up to the top of the Space Needle until my grandmother came to town for my wedding and had to go to the top of the Space Needle. Like
it's like me and friends in LA. It's like, take me to these places. Like, I don't even go to those places.
You're like, I don't need to see the fish stores. I worked in the market for my first 4 months in Seattle, and I never need to see the fish stores again as long as I live.
Yeah, it's like I worked at a couple studios. I don't need to go to studios, or I don't need to go where movie stars are, or I don't need to show you Hollywood because it's actually very dirty and stuff. Where you want to actually go is Beverly Hills or or the Hollywood Hills
on the TV.
You want to go see Hollywood stars? We'll go to like a coffee house in Toluca Lake. I'll show you that. You know.
See, that's what I'm saying. You know that. That's why I would go to you if I had ever was in that region.
But I'm not coming with you either.
Well, I don't want to. You're like it's that way.
I'd be the tour guide. I live here. I'm not gonna show you stuff. It's like, I have somebody who's coming. Can you take me to this haunted place? No.
I wouldn't ask you to take me to haunted place. I've been outside of LA and San Diego and so forth. So I think
it's like when AEW comes here, I got friends in the company. It's like you coming out to Inglewood. It's like it's Inglewood. Are you kidding me? No.
No. Why would I want to drive there? It's a 20-minute drive. It'll take me 4.5 hours.
Yeah. It says on the map 20 minutes, and then 4 hours later, you're sitting there in traffic. Still waiting.
Seattle and LA and the Bay Area all have that in common. It's 20 minutes away.
Tell them come to Staples next time. I can take the red line downtown or the blue line downtown. I'll be fine.
Well, that was what I loved about. The Metro didn't go as far out as I wish it would have, but DC had the Metro and Chicago has the.
Yeah.
And the L is great. I wish.
And Chicago also had cabs all the time, so you could just walk in and grab a cab. Go
but like we went to WrestleMania at the Meadowlands. MetLife.
Oh God.
Oh dude, we almost didn't make it out alive.
I heard stories about that. I went, that's why I didn't go. And I already had a bad story coming out of the Dallas Mania where it's like our tour bus didn't bother to come back and pick us all up. So we had to walk a mile and a half to a Walmart.
Oh, it was like, you can't get the Ubers. There was no like, you could see our hotel from where we were, but you would have to like cross a freeway and all this crazy crap. And it was just like, oh my gosh, we like ended up sharing an Uber with someone basically. But I remember getting back to the hotel room because our friend was like, I'm glad we were the protagonist in this story. And I was like, yes, that's true. And I remember laying down, listening to Dave and Brian, who had just posted their episode. And they were literally telling the same story that we had just been through, basically. Like the rain, the trying to get out of there. It was, never again. But but that's enough about WrestleMania. That's in April. We're talking about Sting's retirement show. And I think that is, I did want to ask, what is your level of excitement for tonight's show? Are you super excited? Are you lukewarm?
Are you asking them or me?
I'm asking you.
I'm at a 9 of 10. I'm excited for the FTR match and I'm excited for the Sting match because I think those are going to play into my sensibilities. And of course, Joe.
Of course.
Because Joe's my favorite.
Because like some people usually, I mean, there's a lot of usually complaining and stuff about the build for shows and stuff.
No, this has been the best build that they have had for a pay-per-view since the inception of AEW, in my opinion. From top to bottom, they have dealt with, look, hasn't all been great, Tony Storm, Deonna Purrazzo, but they've addressed it week after week and they've tried to build, which, I mean, look, I've been harder on them than anybody about this, announcing the card 1 week before the pay-per-view and then trying to get some feuds out of it. They've done a very good job in all these feuds. So I am giving them their due here. I'm excited about this match because it goes into my personal wrestling sensibilities versus, say, indies from 2010 sensibilities. I think this is gonna hit a lot of my feels. So I'm very excited about it.
Right on, me too. And if anyone else wants to throw in how they're feeling, I think that let's see. Talza says, I passed on the last pay-per-view, but this one has brought me back in. Well, that's good news because we definitely don't want to lose people. We definitely want to continue to have an alternative to the other one.
And I think, this is what worries me about them expanding to 9 or 10 pay-per-views at this price point. I think there's a lot of the AEW fan base that steals the pay-per-view. Don't get me wrong. I understand.
It's expensive every month.
But it's one of those things where it's like you do 10 of these, it goes from being $300 a year to $600 a year. And you get less of that revenue coming in because more people decide, well, you're going to be doing so many of these things, they're not worth my hard-earned money. Maybe I'll take it, but it's one of those things where you listen to Dave and stuff and go, oh no, if it's more expensive, it's more worth it. And people will be more willing to buy it. I go, that sounds like the most backwards thing to me in the world, but okay. And I think the fear also starts to come when you get more pay-per-views. Like in the Attitude Era, they used to book pay-per-views to be resolved on the next Monday's show so they get the ratings type of a thing. If that happens, why am I even paying for pay-per-views? That's when I stopped paying for them. Was like, it's like, okay, you're going to book for the Monday Night Raw or whatever. Yeah, I know. You're still cheating, Brad. You're still cheating.
Brad, and I'm it's Brad offers up the VPN and fight, and I understand. I've thought about doing it a few times. It is a bit cheaper outside of America, although I do think that it's $25.
But I also like getting it on my satellite as opposed to getting it on a streaming where it's like, then you get like the, we're trying to render some more type of a thing where it's like, I know if I get it on my direct TV, it's not going to be interrupted in any way.
Yes, Daza. We pay $60 for
Yes,
them.
we pay full freight so you guys can have it for cheaper.
Right, correct. Well, actually, it's partially because they have regulators and we don't.
Yeah, that's true.
We have a free-for-all and they have like people that pay attention to not price gouging. So.
I gotta be honest. Also, the WWE Network ruined me on paying for pay-per-views.
Yeah. Well, like, I switched. I finally cut the cord, and I just lost like where I was going with it. They were forget it. Anyway.
Peacock?
Oh, that's it. The cock. I just got that back. I just got that back for free, essentially, as part of my package. I have to say it. It's so funny.
No, I can't react to you going, the cock.
The cock. Yes, you're right. You're not allowed to laugh at that. Yes, Peacock from NBC. We have affectionately termed it the cock so that everybody knows that I'm not being sexually explicit and all of those things. Don't demonetize us. Don't piss off the boss. But one of these days, maybe there will be an AEW Plus.
I know. It's also just like
until that happens. It does a lot.
I just honestly don't get $60 worth of value out of an AEW pay-per-view most times.
Well, and I wholly disagree. I actually I had to deal with Parks and Rec departments saying the same thing Dave was saying, which was if we charge more, people will think of it's a more important program and stuff like that. It's like, no, all the kids that can't afford that are not going to be able to, you're pricing people out.
Yeah.
And we ended up, I have proof that's not true because we ended up losing numbers in that city because they were like, no, charge this much more because people will think it's worth. And it's like, the average American does not make enough money for that to make sense. That's not where people find their value. That $60 is better spent on a car repair or a home repair or a grocery bill.
Well, it's also only 1/7 of their audience that buys a pay-per-view.
Right.
Which is interesting to me that they think that's like, I get that everybody, over 150,000. That's a great number. Okay, cool. But when you compare it to their number on their free TV in terms of the percentage of audience that goes in to watch their pay-per-views versus say the people paying $10 a month over on Peacock, I wonder what that's like. And I wonder if that's comparable kind of a thing. Cause to me, I think you'd want, like, to me, I say, hey, you charge $25 and you get 300,000 buys.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you get 300,000 buys because we've already found that there are other alternatives to paying for it. So it doesn't matter if you lower the price at this point because we've already found the workaround.
You might be right because people are so used to what the price is. If they've already got their own workaround, why bother caring about the price to begin with?
It's like, I've had Napster all this time and somebody's coming out that I like is coming out with a great CD. I can just get it on Napster now.
Oh, Napster.
Or torrents or whatever version you want.
VPNs. VPNs are the new Napster.
Yeah.
So Brad says, let's go back to an excitement factor. We got in regards to excitement, I'm 9.5 or 10. Show is so well built and Sting retiring has me sad but happy that he's getting his moment after we thought he'd never be able to. I couldn't agree with you more, Brad.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Out on his own terms. That's the thing now. All right, Jeff. I really appreciate you being here. And if you have anything to add,
I was worried we couldn't fill 2 hours. Yeah.
We can go for 3 more minutes. We can talk about stuff.
No, we're good.
By the time we're done with our plugs.
Yep. I'm at Crap Game 13. I do a show on Fight Game called The Dynamite Show, possibly with Paul Fontaine. Depends on if the Jacksons win or lose this week. But we go live about 20 minutes after Dynamite goes off the air on the YouTubes, and then we drop on your podcast feed the next day on the audio. I also do a show over on Voices of Wrestling called Shake Them Ropes, kind of a lighthearted, snarky take on American-based wrestling. If you're looking for serious content, we ain't it. But we do make some points here and there that are pretty good. That drops usually around Thursday, Friday, or Saturday on all your podcasting networks.
I hear you're witty and there were people discussing what you guys were talking about because it was kind of a relevant and pertinent point today in our Discord here at Fight Game Media.
Oh,
and
really?
If you want any invite to that one, you can message Gigi at Fight Game Media and say you talk to Mel and Sam and Jeff, our honorary broad, our first honorary broad, actually, I believe.
I feel so objectified.
I know. That was the whole point. Or as I originally called him, our first equity hire. And,
TEI works in fight game.
so I have to do it. But yes, I really appreciate you being here and holding down the fort for Sam, who I hope has an amazing time at this show. And you need to come back and tell us all about it. And make sure you subscribe to the Fight Game Media YouTube here, because that's where the Dynamite show goes up afterwards. And that's where we are every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern here. And I appreciate every single one of you guys who have shown up today. Dazza says you were great, Jeff. So
I got his seal of approval. Awesome.
Dazza's seal of approval. That is excellent. And thank you. Oh, Jeremy showed up at the last minute. Oh, Jeff was the guest. Oh, yeah. You should have gotten here sooner. Thanks, Dazza. All right, everybody, enjoy.
I'll be on with Jeremy later tonight on this network.
I was going to, that's right. Thank you for reminding me. You guys, after this show on this network, so subscribe if you're not already to the Fight Game Media YouTube channel, because after the pay-per-view tonight, once it's over, in the late hours or wee hours of the morning for those of us here on the East Coast, the big boss man Garrett and Jeff will be doing the post-game show for the Sting retirement show. And so they'll go over the matches and everything. And you may get some guests. So Jeremy may pop in. And if Paul Fontaine hasn't quit, he might still be awake. We'll see what happens. But you'll have to show up to know. So go ahead and subscribe to that and join them. You guys go about 15-20 minutes, just like normal after the show. So, but if you set your ding-a-ling, you'll know that when they're going live, it'll let you know. So we really appreciate you guys coming on to hang out with us. All of you hanging out so long. Enjoy Sting's retirement and enjoy your week. And thanks for listening to Power Bombshells.